Okay, we're going to do a swing evaluation here, and I'm just going to point out a few things that I see going on in your swing that I feel like has a little bit of room for improvement. So first, let's look at your setup. I like your knee flexion. It looks like there's a little bit too much weight on your toes. I can't really identify that 100%, but make sure that it's a little bit more balanced in your feet there. All in all, this looks good. You look relaxed here where you're not trying to create too perfect of a posture. Arms are hanging underneath if you will. Club might be a little high, so the hands could possibly be a little bit lower in that address, but all in all, the distance away looks good. Here, you got a nice stable, not too wide of a base, but definitely a stable base where you're going to be able to hold good balance throughout the swing. I like how your knees are pointed in a touch. Okay, it's going to help you turn well. Also here, I like how your feet are turned out a little bit. That's going to help you with your turn. Now let's get into the swing. You know, I noticed where you do a one-piece takeaway rehearsal. I would eliminate that for a couple reasons. For one, you make a really nice takeaway to begin with. You know, club, as we get into here, is right in front of your chest. Arms are in a good one piece. Everything's connected. Club face is a little bit shut at that moment, but I wouldn't worry because what's happening later with the club face. But all in all, the takeaway looks pretty good. I feel like that rehearsal is making you follow the club a little bit right here. See where you kind of stand up a touch. So I wouldn't overdo that, just for where you can kind of stay a little bit more down as you're going back. Now go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and just wind you up to the top here. There I can sense that the weight's getting a little bit on the toes, but more importantly, this right leg. I want to see you keep a little bit more flexion in that right leg as you're going back. All in all, club's moving on a good path going back. It's moving on a good path going down. You know, club face goes from a little shut to maybe a little open, but those will try to offset each other a little bit, so I wouldn't worry too much about that. I'd worry more about the body things I'm talking about. Right arm's in a good hitting position. Knuckles in a reasonably well hitting position. They could maybe be a little bit more down. Left arm's nice out in front of you. All that looks good. Footwork, I can definitely tell, is on the inside right, especially when I look at this picture here. You know, you're getting a good foot position here for an iron. So yeah, that looks good. Now I'm going to talk about some things about the picture on the right. Now with your setup, you can see this arm's a little slack. This arm's hanging relatively straight. So what I'd like to see you do a better job of is getting both these arms hanging reasonably like this, kind of like in a triangle. I know there are some better players that start with their left elbows more out like this you're doing, but for you, I feel like it's causing a problem later on in the swing, and I'll help you identify that. So going back, try not to follow the club or stand up on it. Right here looks good. You're not oversetting the wrist, not undersetting it. It's flowing at a pretty good pace there. Elbows are nice and even with each other. Again, you have really good connection at this moment. Arms are connected to your body well also. Now as we arrive kind of at the top, you know, you slide well into the ball. Like this move right here is really good. It's allowing you to get a down cock, keep the angle, keep a nice amount of lag here. All of this looks real good. Now you can see that slide is pretty heavy. You know, that's a lot of slide. Even though I like what you're doing, I feel like it needs to be tamed a little bit, because of the slides happening so heavy, it's hard for your left hip to uncoil and get around the ball. So you can tell through here you're getting jammed. This has a little bit to do with how you're setting up with your left arm, and this also has a little bit to do with how much slide there is into the ball. So you'll see here with Tiger, just go ahead and get him to his release. There's his slide in. You can see he's sliding past the guy behind him in the pants. But here, you'll start to see the hip more uncoil in this direction behind him rather than moving so much laterally. So just a little bit less lateral movement from it, a little bit more uncoil. But for that to work, you know, you're going to have to make sure that that club face isn't too open coming into the ball. And it looks like it's in a good enough position where you can make that move. Now here with Tiger, you'll see as the hip's kind of clearing, that's giving more space and more freedom for this to release properly. So left arm hang a little more straight. Get this moving a little bit more around you rather than laterally. That should give you more room where you don't feel jam coming through. All in all, I mean, you're doing a lot of good things in your golf swing. Those are just a couple things that I noticed that could be some areas of improvement. But I can tell that you're a nice player and that you really know how to get a good strike on the ball already. But try some of those things out, see if it doesn't help. Thank you now.